So we put a poll out in the community tab asking you guys who you think should start in goal against Fulham. Should it be Sels or should it be Miguel? And the response was overwhelming. I'm going to break down to you the pros and cons for both players and who I think should start in goal. Welcome to this analysis video on our goalkeeping situation. Good morning, good evening, or good night. Hope you guys are doing well, and welcome to another video on the channel. If you're enjoying the content, as always, please don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you are new, and shout out to all our new Patreon members. Thank you so much for supporting us. There is a new video out there talking about who will play in that 10 role against Fulham with Morgan Gibbs-White being suspended. So if you want to join and support us and get access to the exclusive videos, you can scan this QR code or click on the link that's pinned in the comments below. Okay, let's jump into this video because this is an interesting one and I was kind of surprised by the poll. Let me just show you the poll that we did on the community tab, and a whopping 68% of you have voted for a change in goal when it comes to taking Miguel back in over Sels. I wonder how many times Nikki voted on that one. But anyway, what that got me thinking is, are we right, or are the 68% right to look for this change? Or is Matz Sels being treated quite harshly? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to break down some goalkeeper stats. Now, it is quite tough to analyze a goalkeeper. I always like the eye test on the goalkeeper and how I feel about them. But how does Matz Sels compare with the rest of the goalkeepers in the Premier League? Is he being dealt a harsh hand by some sections of the fan base, or are they right to not be happy with what they are seeing? So let's jump into this and let's start with a comparison on Matz Sels in specific key areas versus other goalkeepers in the Premier League. So let's start with the most important stat, and this is the duty of a goalkeeper, to keep the ball out of the back of the net. And how does Sels compare with the rest of the Premier League? Well, if we have a look at the goals he's conceded, it's actually 4 this season, which isn't that high, to be honest, less than 1 a game. But he's been expected to concede less than that at 3.5 in total, which gives him a net of minus 0.5, which puts him, believe it or not, 16th in the Premier League rankings. Now, what we've done, we've grouped the teams together that have used more than one goalkeeper. There's a table for this, which we've been able to get hold of, and he still comes out at 16th, which isn't that great. Now, every keeper above him from 15th up is actually in a positive of XG conceded. And that doesn't really bode well for Matz Sels. I would say the sample data is still very small. We're looking at 5 games at the moment. It's not huge, but this isn't really something we haven't seen before. I think last season he finished 19th in the XGC rankings in the Premier League. And in France, he was, I think, again, 19th in his previous club as well. So when it comes to goals against or expected goals against with Matz Sels, he doesn't really stand out in shining lights on this stat. What are your guys' thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments down below. All right, so let's look at some other key stats with Matz Sels, and these ones he does come out quite well in. Well, it depends on your subjective view of it. So in these performance stats, when we look at his save percentages, so just in general, forget XG and everything else, shots taken against him, what percentage is he saving? He comes up 9th in the Premier League with 73.3% saves, which is not bad and is quite reflective of Forest's position in the league. So you'd expect that to correlate quite nicely to it. Now, if we look at his distribution, he takes the most long kicks out of anyone in the Premier League that are not goal kicks. Even on the goal kick stats, he's very high up. But on long passes stats, he does it 88.4% of the time, and he's ranked 1st in that stat. Now, the accuracy from those kicks is about mid-level at 34.6%. But with Matz Sels and Forest taking so many long kicks when it's not a goal kick, we basically lose the ball 2/3 of the time, and we only gain possession 1/3 of the time. Now, that doesn't even necessitate that 34.6% that we gain the possession. It's just the player has received the ball. It may be, for example, a long kick towards Chris Wood. He's flicked it on and there's no one behind him, or something like that. You get what I mean? So in terms of his distribution, Matz Sels is 100% a long kicker. Now, you guys know I've always harped on about this stat. It really does bug me. But I still think this is an instruction from management. And I think looking at the percentage of it and the ineffective amount of times we win the ball, this is something that needs to change. But that's a whole different topic for another day. What do you guys think about these save percentage stats? I think it's quite good. 9th in the Premier League is not too bad at all. But get your thoughts in down below. Okay, let's look at a couple more key interesting stats for Matz Sels, and this is about how quickly he comes off his line. So if you look at cross percentage stopped, so these are crosses that are whipped into the box. He's only at 3.6%. I think he's faced 84 crosses and only collected a handful of them. And that ranks him really low in the Premier League stats at 19th. Now, don't be put off by that percentage. I know 3.6 sounds low, but I think the highest is like 15%. So it's not a massive amount of times that keepers are able to stop crosses coming in. But his is one of the lowest. And what's confirming that even further is when you look at the average distance he comes off his line in general, it averages out at 7.8 yards, which is 18th in the Premier League. So Matz Sels is quite slow to come off his line, quite slow to close the angles down, and quite slow, or he doesn't really like to come out to try and contest for crosses. And I think this reflects on what we saw last season with a lot of goals being conceded by dead ball crosses, corners, etc. Could that be because Matz Sels is more rooted to his goal line than, well, 18 other goalkeepers basically in the Premier League? And is this something that Forest need to further address? Or is this part of the reason why a lot of you, the 68%, would like to see a change in goal? But these stats are quite fascinating when you break them down and have a look at them. So what are your thoughts on this? Do you agree with these stats? On the eye test, do you feel that Matz Sels is too rooted to his goal line or not? Let me know in the comments down below. Okay, so let's talk about another metric that's really important and probably more so on the eye test, and that's goalkeeping mistakes, unforced errors if you like. And there are two big ones already this season. One he got away with and one he didn't. Now, the infamous one is, of course, the one against Liverpool, where Matz Sels goes to catch the ball here, drops it between his legs, and then by sheer luck is able to spin around and stop it going in. This is a complete unforced error. There was no pressure on him from Jota, for example, the Liverpool player in shot there. And he just ends up with a bit of a brain fart, you could say there. He gets away with it. This doesn't really count as an unforced error because it didn't go in the back of the net. But I think this was a trigger point in a lot of the fan base that when they saw this thought to themselves, what's going on here? What's going on? So that was the first mistake. There was one other, and we'll talk about that now, in our most recent match against Brighton. Okay, so let's talk about his actual mistake that is, in my opinion, an unforced error. And this is the free kick from Sunday that Danny Welbeck took. And I just want to point out a few things on this one. Firstly, look at where the wall is positioned and where Matz Sels is. He's hiding behind two players. He's hiding behind Morgan Gibbs-White and the Brighton player. I don't think he's got any sight of this ball at all. And as you can see here over on his left-hand side, or the right-hand side as we're looking at it, he's way too central in the goal position. He has to trust the wall to be able to block that ball going in over the top of it. And if it goes in, it goes in. He has to cover his side of the goal. And what he's done here, he's just basically allowed Danny Welbeck to have a free shot at that side. He's almost made Danny Welbeck's mind up for him. And what you'll see is as soon as this free kick is taken, just watch Sels' feet here. He's already shifting his way across to his right-hand side. He's trying to steal a yard. And as soon as that's happened, he's dead in the water. And as you can see, the free kick's been taken now, released from Danny Welbeck, and he can't see it still. And this is why he doesn't even react. As you can see, he's moved another yard to his right, again anticipating and hoping that he can steal a yard on the wall. And then it just ends up going in. Now, it doesn't even go in top bins in the corner. If Sels had positioned himself about 2 yards to his left or 3 or 4 steps to his left, he would have, one, been able to see the ball, and secondly, been able to have made an attempt to it. So for me, this is a bit of a howler in terms of his positioning, and this would count 100% as an unforced error. But however, technically speaking, that's one unforced error he's had this season in 5 games. Do you guys find that acceptable or not? This is a subjective one. Let me know in the comments down below. So based on those stats and based on those footages, how do you guys now feel about Matz Sels? Is he good enough to hold the #1 jersey at Forest, or do you think it's time for a change? And that change would mean Carlos Miguel coming in. Now, what we have to do is be objective about Carlos Miguel, because we've only seen him in 1 game. And I don't even think that's fair to put stats up on, because in that game, we know he made a mistake-ish for the first goal. But then he ends up as man of the match. Saves a penalty, makes a lot of saves, but he is an untested quantity. So for someone to come out and say that Miguel has to be the starter based on what they've seen of him this season would be judging on the Newcastle game and a couple of pre-season matches. But if someone wants to make the case for Miguel, I think their stronger case would be to say that Matz Sels is currently ranking very low on a lot of the key goalkeeping metrics, and maybe a change is required, because can Miguel do better in those stats? For me, Miguel would be better on the crossing stats and on coming off his line as well. Those ones are very easy for him to do, and it's his natural way of playing. In terms of positioning on free kicks, where we saw the unforced error with Sels, that one is an unknown, because we would have to see how he lines up his walls, where he positions himself, etc. Does he try and steal a yard because he has, 5 or 6 inches on Sels in height? We don't know. But my gut feeling says that Matz Sels is a safe pair of hands, but not a great pair of hands. The stats always are against him in the majority of the metrics. And I think a time for a change has come. And I think Miguel is going to be the good choice. But I would say it comes with a risk. I'm still not yet to be convinced, until I've seen more of Carlos Miguel, that he is the answer and he is the #1 option. As I said all throughout the summer, I would have liked to see Kelleher coming in from Liverpool, because he does rank quite highly in a lot of the stats. But Miguel may be better than Sels. We won't know until we test him. And I think he should, based on his Newcastle performance, be given a run in the team and see how he gets on. That's just my opinion, and I've been looking at the stats, but for me, more importantly, has been the eye test. And you've got to say, the fact that we've been linked with goalkeepers pretty much throughout the whole summer shows that Nuno still isn't at ease with the goalkeeper selections that he currently has. And this, let's be honest, has been a problem since Samba left us when we got promoted. Yes, Dean Henderson did okay when he came in. Navas came in after that. But it's been a churn and a churn and a churn of goalkeepers. And until Forest settle on a #1 goalkeeper that the majority of the fan base seem comfortable with, I think we'll still be having this discussion, probably into the next transfer window. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. I hope this video has been useful to you. I thought it would be interesting to get some stats on, rather than, I've heard some people say, oh, I have to have Miguel in. Oh no, Sels is the one. We're undefeated, all this stuff. Let's use some stats and let's get the debate going on in the comments down below. And as I said earlier, if you want to check out some exclusive extra content and you want to support our growth on FFTV, go check it out on Patreon, scan this QR code or click on the link that's pinned in the comments below. If you haven't already, please don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to FFTV if you are new. We'll see you on the next video. Come on, you Reds.